see a commercial with a woman over 50, she is doing one thing. She is gardening. Have you noticed that? And I think I know why. I think they have got some 35-year-old guy writing this commercial, and he's like, what the hell? I don't know. What do they do? I don't know. I guess we'll just stick her in a bush, you know. Put a broad-brimmed hat on her. Stick a trowel in her hand. And let her dig her own grave.
We are Moms Unhinged, a nationally touring stand-up comedy show. Join us in our podcast as we explore everything from motherhood, midlife crisis, marriage, divorce, online dating, menopause, and other things that irritate us. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Moms Unhinged podcast. Woohoo! I'm your host, Andrea, and I am so excited to be joined today by Lindsay Porter, who is one of our Chicago-based comedians and is totally amazing. She's been traveling all over with us and is also a mom, of course. You know, that's how that works. Yeah. So welcome, Lindsay.
Thank you. Thrilled to be here.
Yeah, super excited. So Lindsay and I were talking before we got started, and, you know, we had this funny thing about what we were going to talk about today, and she was talking about how she has no goals, and I just love that. I love that for so many reasons, but Lindsay, why don't you just tell us why you have no goals right now?
Okay, well, first of all, I am, as of a month ago, an empty nester for the first time. And I was a late mom. I became a mom at 42. So I'm 61 and I am finally free. Like finally free.
Yeah.
I never expected to do stand-up. I had a very long, circuitous journey to get here. And I tried a lot of things that I desperately wanted to do. I was an actor for a long time. And I was, I did a lot of I was mostly in theater. I did a lot of plays. I had some artistic success. I loved it, but I had such a longing to I wanted to be a full-time working actor. I wanted to make my living as an actor. And I didn't.
Didn't.
Let's be clear. I never made a living as an actor. I acted a lot, but I never made a living. And then I did storytelling, and then I did, and I finally am doing something where it's okay. Whatever happens is okay. Like I literally am finally living in the moment with the thing that I love to do. And I say I have no goals because I never thought I would do this. And every time I go to a Moms Unhinged show and I'm standing in some theater in Butte, Montana, or wherever I am, and I think this was the dream.
Yeah.
And I was a big Oprah fan back in the day. I don't know if other moms of kids who are about this age, but we all, I didn't breastfeed because I adopted my kid, but everyone was like breastfeeding or bottle feeding their kid while watching Oprah, or at least I
loved it.
And Oprah always said, dream a bigger dream. And now I'm like, no, I think it's sometimes okay. Isn't it okay to just be okay with what you're doing and love what you're doing? Isn't that's the dream.
That is
actually fine contentment.
That's so zen. That is so zen. I love that. Dream a bigger dream. No,
Oprah, you're wrong.
Thank you. I'm not going to do that. I am going to dream this dream in the moment, and I'm going to be lucid.
It's like they say, living the dream. I'm living this dream. It's amazing. Yeah. But on Wednesday, keeping up with the Oprah theme, Oprah also said something that I find also guides me. And this one I love. She says, luck is when preparation meets opportunity. Mm-hmm. So that also means if I am doing what I'm supposed to do, writing new jokes, working on my craft, if something bigger comes my way, sure, that's great. But I'm not seeking it out, but I am keeping myself open for whatever comes next. And if there's nothing next, that's okay. And if there is, let's do it.
Yeah. I love that because in this culture, we're always especially I think in the United States, it's always about go big. I mean, that's even the name of my company. Go Big Productions. Big, big, big. And, it's this balance between striving and enjoying. It's when you're dreaming this bigger dream, you might not be appreciating what is happening right in the moment. So you're thinking, oh, it should be bigger, or it should, I should be working harder, or whatever it might be.
Yeah. And this is why also I'm not a producer because it's the hardest thing to do.
Yeah.
And you always have to be thinking about that. And you're trying to like run a business. Yeah. I think that's what happened to me at this age is I'm not trying to run a business. I still, want to be successful in many ways in comedy, but it's a different mindset. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I think there's different times in our life where it's like dream a bigger dream means, okay, let's try and make a little more money so we can, afford a latte every once in a while, or whatever it might be. If you're, I remember early in my career, you're just not making very much and you need to really power up and whatever. But maybe at this time of our lives, we're like, yeah, we've got maybe some things a little more settled. We've got a little more of a nest egg, a little more security, whatever, the kids are out of the house and they're freaking expensive, so, I mean, it's just definitely can be a different mindset at that time. And I think it's great. And I think also when you're in this like dream a bigger dream kind of thing, it is like, future thinking, and it's hard to kind of enjoy, like I said this in a different way, but it is like, if you're just always in the future, it's hard to be in the present and finding the joy in the moments. So,
yeah. And that's one thing that I think I realized is that I was always, I'm a big daydreamer. It's newsflash. I have ADD, as I believe like 75% of comics do. I mean, most of them, probably only the producers are the ones that know. But that's a big aspect of ADD is like daydreaming and always. So I was always like living like an alternate life. I'll make a very old reference, like Walter Mitty style alternate universe going on in my head. And now I'm finally like really focused on just my dreams and my reality are finally intersecting. And I'm trying to go with that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. And I think that it's nice to be able to be open and say, hey, what's in store for me next? And you can just, have that unfold naturally instead of just trying to get it pushed up the hill, just like trying to muscle it through. There's just so many things where we could be attached to the outcome of everything we're doing so desperately. And when you're not attached to that outcome, you're just living in a more, free state, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I love that. I love that. And I think you said that this, one of the things I also like to get into is how you got started in comedy. And you said there's kind of an intersection between that and what we were talking about.
Yeah. I think I have always loved comedy. Always. When I was a little kid, my dad had all the Bob Newhart records and all the early George Carlin, like back when he was wearing a suit. I had memorized all of these routines, and my dad and I used to do them together, and it was I loved it. And then I was a theater kid, and I, went to college, and I majored in theater, and always loved the idea of stand-up. But that was like the '80s, and it was a very, it was a whole thing like women aren't funny, and it's big emphasis on your physicality. I just was afraid. I remember going to see a stand-up comedy thing that a friend of mine was in when I lived in New York. And I was like, God, I'd love to do that. But I was too afraid of, you're a young woman, your looks, your body, everything was like scrutinizing people. Now people don't say stuff. They said stuff. And I was already trying to pursue theater and to a lesser extent, some film and TV stuff, which is where you're always looking to fit into a mold.
Right.
And I was never quite the right, and finally, when I came to stand up in my 50s, first of all, the culture changed a little bit more accepting of different types of people and looks. Not that I was some crazy, I looked like normal. I was just normal, but that was, you know what I mean? And then also just in comedy, it's just undeniable. You are who you are. And if you make people laugh, you can do it. You're not looking to fill a role.
Right.
So you just bring whoever you are authentically to the stage. And when I started doing comedy, I was not in a great place physically. I had a pretty big journey. I had a kidney transplant, a stem cell transplant. I went through chemo and radiation as part of a trial where I was given a kidney because I have a genetic kidney disease that I knew my kidneys would fail. My mother died of this disease. My sister had this disease. And then after the chemo and the radiation, I got extremely skinny, went through instant menopause, and then I gained like 100 pounds. And I was feeling physically, like not feeling physically good. But I was getting up on stage anyway and doing the stuff. And so I sort of started at my worst. And then over time, with the help of, pharmaceuticals and other things, I've lost about half of that weight. I think it was kind of great that I started at a time when I had to like get over myself, like the insecurities that came up being an actor about how you're perceived, and just bring your authentic self to the stage and be like, this is my experience. This is who I am. Love it or leave it, baby. And here,
Right.
As I am watching this, I am looking at my neck and thinking, well, if I could just, here, how about this? Can I just do the rest of this podcast like this? If anyone's watching, I'll just get a neck flip.
I swear, I was doing an interview yesterday where I was looking at my neck, and luckily today my screen is black, so I can't see my neck.
By the way, Andrea, your neck looks freaking amazing. I'm jealous. I'm so jealous of your neck.
I'm having a good neck day. Who knew? Oh my goodness!
You can't see it. I was pulling my neck back. Anyway,
it is terrible. It is so interesting getting into comedy at this, because I got into comedy I was like 39. And so, through my 40s, whatever. But I've definitely, there is like a getting over yourself as you get older. You just are like, you know what? This is it. I'm not going to get work done. This is who it is. And I don't really care anymore. I really don't. Other than sometimes I still do. I try to say it. I say I don't care, but you know what? We still do.
Well, it's that balance too. It's like, I don't want to give up. I also just want to be okay with where I am. So
right. Yeah. And again, it's sort of that, like, that in the moment kind of being happy with who you are now, but also, I'm like, I can see my mother in the future. I'm like, dang it. Is that where I'm headed? Dang it. Okay. I love that story about getting started in your 50s. That is so amazing. I mean, you got started and you were doing open mics. You had your son at home and you so you were just going out at night.
And so my husband we met doing theater. He's also an actor. He still does some TV and film stuff. But he owns a bar and restaurant in Chicago, a tap, like a neighborhood place. Used to be the big actor hangout. Yeah. And so he is gone at night a lot. So when my son was little, Monday nights were really the only night that I had. And I started going, well, first I took a class, which was great. Just as for fun, like it'll let me out of the house. I'm paying for it, so I know I'm going to go. And I loved it. And I took it again. And then I met these young women who are two of my good comedy friends now. And they started just harassing me and being like, we're going to the Logan Theater open mic on Monday nights. Come with us. And then I just started going. And then slowly but surely, a few things started happening, and then there was a pandemic, and then we had to restart. I mean, I remember just thinking, wow, it would be great to do something that wasn't to be in a showcase of some kind, to be on a show. And then I got in, little by little, one thing at a time.
Yeah. How exciting was it to get that first invitation to be?
Oh my gosh, so exciting. There was actually a show that doesn't exist anymore that was in the suburbs of Chicago, and it was in the back of a bookstore, and it was called The Mother Cluckers.
Oh.
All women. They weren't all moms, but it was all women. And it was a combination of storytelling and stand-up. And I had done storytelling before doing stand-up. So I did that first. And there was like a time when I showed up and they asked me to do it and I wanted to bring new material and I didn't have any jokes. So I just read funny things that my son had said off of a piece of paper. I mean, that was like, I barely had any jokes. But that was the first time I did something that sort of resembled stand-up.
Yeah.
And I got asked to do, a showcase in the back of a bar. And
Yeah.
then slowly the things start coming and it's exciting. I think the other thing, the reason I feel like stand-up like really fits my, I've always had this artistic impulse to want to express something, but I don't have a lot of artistic talents. Like, I cannot draw. I can't.
Other than performing is an artistic talent.
I enjoy writing and I enjoy performing, but I do not have any other skill. I have a whole set of jokes about how sewing makes me cry and drink. Anything involving a craft or, painting or anything aesthetic, I suck. Suck. So,
I know. I am right there with you. I once screamed at my kids over these little we had to make little animal puffy keychains with little puff balls and glue. And I had hot glue everywhere. I was yelling. Everyone's crying by the end. It was just...
This is my nightmare. You are my soul sister and the hating of the craft. So bad.
So bad.
Here's the other. There was one time we had a Christmas party and, it was a gift exchange and my son was 9. His name is CJ. And someone said, "Oh, it's so nice. You let CJ wrap all the presents." I was like, no, I did not. I wrapped the presents, okay? And I tried. And I wrapped them like a 9-year-old boy. And everything worked. But keep trying.
He's my best.
So I had the artistic impulse, and I think I loved storytelling, but it requires the writing. I just wanted to be very precise, and it really takes a lot of work. And with this ADD profile that I have, the act of stand-up, which is just working one joke at a time, adding little by little, you have to physically go. You make a commitment to go out to a place, and then you have to have material. It like works for my neurotype, if you will. It's like you just add on a little more. You just go out, you get immediate feedback.
Yeah.
Sometimes that feedback sucks. Sometimes that feedback is not good. But you get the feedback and then by that you can build an act that way. But if you I love to write. I mean, writing is a great love of mine, but I can't sit alone in a room. I need that commitment and I need that direct feedback.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I love that, you had friends who were like, come out. And I think that's definitely what it takes is like, someone else is going to be there and they're waiting for you. And, to have that person who kind of is forcing you to be there because, there have been times where I've been like, oh, I'll just go to this open mic by myself. And then I'm like, nah, I think I'll just stay home,
Right. And that's what's so great, I think, about having more women in stand-up. Even since I started, there are more women that I've met in Chicago who are in their 50s and who are coming out and going to open mics and saying, hey, let's go together. When I first started going, I mean, there was nobody close to my age.
Right.
And now it's almost 10 years later. And it's not as unusual. I mean,
yeah, for sure. I remember I'm like, oh yeah, this room is going to hate this set, let me just talk about menopause and my, my midlife crisis and, 25-year-old dudes are like,
I mean, and the thing is, there are certain jokes that I do with moms Unhinged that I just know, they're my audience. And I'm like, and some of them fall flat in other places, but I do love going to these rooms with young people. I did a Zanies show. That's a club here in Chicago. I did a Zanies showcase last night, and it was just so much fun because there's nobody who I'm talking about the things that there was a comic there last night. It was a young guy in his 20s, and he's talking about his mom and his relationship with his mom. And I'm the mom talking about my relationship with my son. Yeah, and I think that those two different perspectives on stage, like people people laughed at my stuff. People laughed at his stuff. And we were just telling two sides of a story of a relationship. And really fun. I love doing shows. I love doing alt shows. I love doing weird shows where just a bunch of young people doing insane, crazy stuff. And me. I love it.
Yeah. That's so funny. That's so funny. Yeah, I once did. It is fun to have that mix. You know, I mostly do Moms Unhinged shows, so it's like, you know, I'm mostly playing to the easy audience, but like it is kind of fun to go where you've got a little bit of a mixed crowd. And one time I had a young guy talking about how he dated this old woman, and I think she was like in her 40s, and he was, you know, making all these jokes about how old she was. And then I came out and I was like, oh, I'm so glad you met my boyfriend, you know.
Right.
So the crowd went crazy. But it is interesting to see people appreciating each other's humor. And I think that's what it's about, is like sharing your perspective so that it kind of opens someone's mind a little bit and be like, oh yeah, I'm dissing on my mom, but there's someone who's, you know, there's her side of the story right next, you know,
telling you about me.
Yeah.
And there's another comic who has done some Moms Unhinged shows, Jan Slavin. I mean, she's older, you know, she's in her 70s. I'm not going to tell her age because she'd be mad at me. But she, like, younger people love her. She's hilarious. So
yeah, she is hilarious. She is.
It's great to have those different perspectives because
for sure. For sure. So I want to get to one of the things I've been asking everyone is for an unhinged moment in your life where something maybe went a little crazy, maybe something wild happened. So I know we all have so many of these stories, but
I'm trying to think I'll tell you one. This is like a moment when I knew that the roles had reversed in my house. It was during the pandemic. My husband was trying to run a bar during a pandemic, and they were like doing curbside service, and
oh gosh,
he was there all the time. And my son and I were stuck at home. My son was like 13. So it was rough for him, rough for me. I mean, we're super close. A lot of my jokes are about how close we are, but I think we were driving each other crazy. And we had it was springtime, and we look out in the backyard, and there are baby bunnies in our yard.
Oh.
We're like, bunnies, this is going to be so great. We can watch them grow up. And there were 5 bunnies. And then we realized we have a dog. She's a hunting dog, and she has a very strong sense of smell. So we're like, well, we'll just take her out in the front. We won't put her out in the backyard. We'll let these bunnies get bigger. But then our dog, with the sense of smell, all of a sudden realizes that there's something out there, and she becomes a monster. She is at the window. She's drooling. She's like barking. She's clawing at the door. She's losing her mind with the bunnies. And we tried all these different things, and days went by, and it was a nightmare. I mean, she would wake up in the middle of the night salivating. She wanted to eat these bunnies. So finally, you know, my son was like, not the bunnies. We can't, don't let Gladys eat the bunnies. But finally, it became such a nightmare. I said, listen, honey, I don't think we can keep this up. I think we're going to have to let Gladys out. But I think we'll go out there and we'll yell at the bunnies and we'll get them to leave the yard. And then she can go out there and smell around. So that's what we do. And it works, sort of, because he eats 2 of the 5 bunnies. And it was bad. And I was really worried that my son was going to be upset. But he's like, Mom, those were the dumb bunnies. Those were the dumb bunnies. The smart, this is Darwinism. This is my 13-year-old. He's like, this is Darwinism. The smart bunnies will live and they will go on. They have smart bunnies, and the dumb bunnies were dead. And so he quickly learned a life lesson. But the unhinged part is that then Gladys came running into the house and dropped a dead bunny in the middle of the living room.
Oh,
I started breaking out. I just was like, oh my God, the bunny's in the house. Dad's at work. I don't know. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And CJ just looked at me and goes, Mom, calm down. Go to your room. go to your room and I will take care of the bunny. And I did. I went, okay. And I went to my room. And while I was gone, he put on gardening gloves and he got a big thing and he swept the bunny into the dustpan and he disposed of it. And I was like, that was his bar mitzvah. That was like the moment he became a man. And I was like a raving lunatic and he took care of it. He took care of it.
That is hilarious. Go to your room, Mom.
Go to your room. Yes, sir. So ran in there.
God, that is oh God, that's horrific. What a little mini massacre there. But
that was a whole journey. Yeah.
yeah.
But there have been plenty of times when I've lost my mind about other things. But I have to say, I in general lose my mind a lot. But parenting is really, I had to learn patience because I'm not naturally patient.
Yeah.
I had to get there or else it would have ruined his life.
I know. It is like you know, I'm kind of that like, okay, let's go. You know, I'm kind of like, there's no dawdling around and you have to allow for the dawdling because otherwise you'll lose your mind. So yeah, it's rough. The patience, it's a real test of patience for 20 years and beyond, 20 years and beyond.
And I think the thing that I learned, I mean, you know, my kid is really, he's a great kid. He has had some struggles, and he's very open about them. So I don't tell anything out of, you know, has depression. He's been doing really well, super, super stable, great. But what I realized with him was that I have to be okay in order, I tend to mirror people's emotions a lot. Like when people are, I'm very, I guess it's empathic or whatever, but I just tend to feel other people's feelings. And I had to learn that I had to be okay because then I could help him. And if he's not okay and then I'm not okay because he's not okay, I'm not helping anything. And so I think that's the biggest lesson.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a big lesson for me. I was always like, is everyone okay? Everyone's okay. You know, like you have to let them have their feelings or they'll be trained to suppress them. And that's not good for anybody. So that's a tough lesson too.
Yeah.
So, oh man. Well, this has been so much fun, Lindsay. I just always am amazed how quickly half an hour goes.
I know.
I know.
It's right on time. We got the light and now we're ready to end.
I know. We're hitting the light. So why don't you let people know where they can find you online?
Okay. You can find me on Instagram and Lindsay, LINDSAY _Porter. PORTER. I also am on TikTok, but I go on there like once every 3 months because I'm old. So I don't know. And that's all the things. That's all the things. But please follow me on Instagram.
Yes.
We never ask anybody, and I need the follows. So
yeah, we will have those links in our show notes so people can go follow you. I highly encourage it, you guys. Just go check out Lindsay and come to a show too.
Yes, come to a show.
Yeah.
Yay.
All right. Thank you so much, Lindsay.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks for listening, and make sure you subscribe, share, and follow us on the socials to get more comedy clips.